rock on you.
Hello, chat, and welcome back to Kay's Corner Podcast, episode 11. This is episode 11, but it is chapter 1 of 20 chapters of Kay's life. The next 20 episodes, along with a few added in guest episodes, um, I will be sharing these topics that potentially lead to my life story. And I wanted to take the time out to find a fun and not so serious way to kind of talk about my life because life can be so hard, it can be so serious. But we got to remember the times where not where it's necessarily funny because hard times are not funny, but it's to like stand where we are today and look back and laugh in the way of, wow, I can't believe I actually went through that. Or, wow, I can't believe I've made it through that. And I can't believe I am who I am today. And that saying I can't believe shouldn't even be a thing because I've always believed in myself. I've always believed that I would always get to where I needed and wanted to be in life. And with that being said, throughout the next 20 episodes, 20 chapters of Kay's life, you will get to know the funny stories, the serious stories, the crazy stories. Again, social media can paint such an easy picture, but I definitely have a story behind all of this. With that being said, before we jump into this episode 11, which we will be sharing the first topic in the 20 chapters, the first chapter we will be talking about is going through teen years without structure, discipline, or routine. So before we get into that, I do want to let you guys know, I don't know if you can tell, but I've switched my corner. So Kay's corner is now in a different corner that I thought was cute in my room. And I kind of did a little bit of rearranging. So we are now in this little corner, and this is the first episode in this corner, actually. So welcome back to Kay's Corner. Let's jump into it. What it's like to be in your teen years without structure, routine, or discipline. And I always talk about topics where I can fully speak upon them because I have been through them. With this topic specifically, it kind of had me sitting down and really jumping back into my childhood. And a lot of people are saying, oh, don't reminisce, don't reminisce. It's not the fact of reminiscing, it's the fact of understanding how you made it to this spot that you are now. And me specifically, I may not have everything figured out, but I am content in life. I don't wake up in fear, whether it's money, bills, how I'm going to finish school. Like, I don't live in fear. And it took me a long time to find that peace and that trust between me and God that everything is going to be okay. And that's why this chapter of speaking upon teen years, I'm now 24 years old. And when I look back at being a teenager, I was absolutely out of my mind. I probably drove my father, because my mom did step out of the picture in my teenage years. And I think it's so important for a girl, especially, to kind of have that motherly figure during those times because a father can't really like understand everything that's going on, nor does a father really want to be in charge of kind of having those conversations with his little girl. So during my teen years, I was crazy. I was crazy for a bunch of different reasons, but the main reason I would say is one, when my mother was around, my father was and is a chef. So he was out of the picture a lot. He worked a lot of hours from early morning to late night. Most of the time we were asleep. So my mom lived in like this military mindset. I mean, your beds had to be tucked. She didn't want to see even a speck of the sheet. You had to make the bus on time. Okay? If you didn't make the bus on time, you're grounded for that weekend. I mean, it was a military home. But then when she did step out, And that was during elementary school. So when she did step out for me in my teenage years, I guess she had kind of already planted the seed of responsibility. So I can't say that it wasn't that I didn't have enough structure, routine, or discipline. Um, I guess I grasped onto that when I was younger and I kind of took it along with me. And that's why now I can look back and I can't be so ungrateful. Um, as far as like my thoughts, because my mom kind of did plant that seed of morals, respect, being responsible, being on time, no excuses for anything. You don't miss the bus, that's your fault, you're grounded. No ifs, ands, and buts. And my mom wouldn't even drive us. We're walking, me and my brother would walk in the rain, storm, the snow. We would literally blow dry our feet once we got to school. Um, but when she wasn't in the picture anymore and my dad was kind of always at work, it was a free for all. I felt like, in my opinion, me and my two brothers, Philip and Jacob, we got what we needed to get done. Like, just because my mom wasn't around and my dad was always at work, like, we still got our homework done. We knew what we needed to do. But as like teenagers and as children, that's not like the first thing that you would think. You think that it's a free for all. Let's do whatever we want. We can get away with this. And I think that we finally came to that realization when our parents would always say, when we'd bicker, you only have each other. So I think once we realized, and that saying kind of clicked, like, you only have each other, we still wanted to encourage each other to do the right thing. We still wanted to implement the structure and the routine. And God knew exactly what He was doing by blessing us with five siblings. Because although our parents weren't around, we still encouraged each other to get our homework done. We still each took turns like making dinner, or there were times where we needed to boil hot water and go bring it upstairs to give our sisters a bath. So, and why I'm saying this, because in our teenage years, we wouldn't be expecting to either. In our teenage years, we barely know how to take care of ourselves, let alone being able to take care of each other. We're all kids at the end of the day. Um, but we were all so close that we still had chore nights. Who's going to do the dishes? Who's going to cook? Who's going to go give the girls a bath? So I can really say, even though our parents weren't fully around, and people have different stories, mine was just the case of my mom kind of stepped out, and then my dad was always providing for us, so he was never home. Some people, they have parents that are both CEOs of a company, or they own their own companies, and although their parents provide a beautiful home and everything that you could ever want, that doesn't mean that there's a significant amount of routine or discipline or structure. I mean, I think that bedtime is important. I think for children there should be a time at night where their phones are put next to their parents' bed or on the table. Like, I think that structure and discipline is so important. And there can be so many reasons why we were, or we are, if there are current teenagers that don't have that discipline, structure, or routine. And anybody who's watching, who you guys are a teenager, I know you may not want to hear it now from your parents, the structure, the routine, the discipline, but me as a 24-year-old, or anybody who else is my age or even older, like, when my mom was around, she was very military and a little bit too hard, but I do appreciate the teaching us of manners, respect for ourselves, responsibility, showing up on time, um, discipline as far as, if you don't make that bus, you're grounded this weekend. Um, Making our beds. I mean, it's just natural for me to wake up and go to work, for me to make my bed. I don't leave my house. It's like me leaving my house without brushing my teeth or putting deodorant on. And people can call that extreme, but I think it's so good to have discipline. And I'm sorry to my sisters. I'm so sorry. I love you guys, and I know that you're going to watch this episode. It's not your fault that you live with two brothers and your father, but my sisters can be lazy and not organized. Like, I step into their room sometimes and it's so not organized, and I can't blame them. But so I am thankful in times like that where I make your damn bed before you leave for work in the morning. Because you know what? When you come home, you have a clean room. Your bed's made. Now it's ready for you to go in, and you have a clean room, you know, and you have a clean mindset. When I have a clean room and I come home to a clean room, whether it's from work or vacation or just from running out from errands, it's just like, oh, this is my safe spot. Like, I can relax. I don't have to kick things around, brush things off my bed. Like, I can just literally relax and edit my podcast video or open up my Bible. So in those ways, discipline, that's discipline, routine, structure. um and the times where we didn't really have discipline, uh structure or guidance, sorry pops if you're watching this, but honestly, once we got everything done, the house was clean, our homework was done, everyone was fed, everyone was put in bed, we'd be outside ripping the gravity bong. Maybe some of you guys don't know what a gravity bong is. I'll have you guys look it up. I'm not about to explain it on here. But, and I can't say in the times of not having structure or discipline, and I'm not saying that this was allowed or that anybody should be doing this, but I can pat me and my brothers on the back because we got what we needed to get done, and then we would do that in our free time. It was like we were still being young and stupid, but we still implemented routine and structure. So, in today's society, why I want to bring this up is because I feel like there isn't a lot of structure or routine. I mean, down to kids saying that they're too tired or too depressed or have anxiety, but they're sitting up on their phone till 4 in the morning, looking up all these videos about their toxic relationship, or looking how to lose weight or become better looking, or depressing post, and they're up till 4 in the morning. Well, not for nothing, and I'm not coming at any parent's neck, like, I'm really not doing that, but for myself, because of how it was implemented of putting my phone on the table, um at a certain time, like, I believe that there should be structure. There should be structure on the amount of time that a child or a teenager spends on their phone. There should be structure of, if you don't pass these tests, you're grounded for the weekend. Or the structure, if you don't make your bed and make sure that your room is clean before you leave this house in the morning, you don't get your phone for the rest of the night. Like, you're not going to get called CPS on you for taking your kid's phone. And I'm sorry if it breaks your heart if your kids give the puppy eyes. It's classic. I used to pull that on my dad too. You know, there is no reason for a teenager to not have structure or routine. And whether their parents are fully involved in their life and they're not receiving that structure, routine, or discipline, or their parents are nowhere in their life, and I personally can't find an excuse, and I tell my sisters all the time. My dad owns 3 businesses. He it's a lot, and I don't want to put it on him like, oh, he's never around. He's trying to provide and leave something with his kids, but my sisters think it's a free for all where they just feel like they can do whatever they want, say whatever they want, be on their phones till 4 in the morning. And it does take a toll on them. It gives them a chance. It gave me a chance when I didn't have the structure or discipline to kind of do whatever I want, to have a mentality of, I'll figure it out later, I'll do it later. No, you pick it up now. So it's so important to have structure, discipline, and routine, and I still use it till this day. I write in my planner. I like to be very organized. Waking up in the morning, making my bed, making sure my room is clean, prioritizing my podcast before I go out or I want to do something fun. This is something I'm passionate about. This is something that's important. This is something that I want to be successful in. So I need to be able to find the time to dedicate and push everything that's not so important aside and have that discipline of sticking with my routine. Structure, discipline, routine. It all adds up into the same thing. And just seeing my younger siblings not kind of have that implemented in their life, or me not having it fully, especially during my teenage years. And teenagers are already snappy, especially females. We're going through our hormones, but even as a young teenage man, you guys are thinking all these nasty little things. There needs to be that routine and discipline implemented. So it's just like, I'm thankful that I did have it when I was very much younger, but I wish I had more of it in my teenage years. I was just running around doing whatever I wanted, And although I did have the little bit of structure, routine, and discipline implemented in me, I didn't have enough. I didn't have enough because I was still acting crazy. I was still making bad choices. I was prioritizing friends over school. And I look back now and I could have been in college, could have had a master's degree. And I can't look back and say shoulda, coulda, would have, but I just now know to push my child to their full extent, to make sure that I really show up in their teenage years. Same with my siblings. You know, I don't even blame my parents. When my parents can't show up, I'll show up because, at the end of the day, a teenager deserves that. And me just being an adult in my teenage siblings' life, I just want them to know that they'll always have somebody. And sometimes they look at me like I'm a mom and I really don't care because I didn't have that where somebody really pushed me to the full extent or pushed me to show what it is like to be a young lady with morals and respect. I had to kind of go through life and learn the hard way to the point where I can sit back now and be like, oh my gosh, like I look back when I was a teenager, I'm like, oh my gosh, like that is scary. And that's why I'm so hard on my teenage siblings because, ugh, like I wish I had somebody really on my booty, really implementing discipline and structure. Even down to being a woman, we need to know how to fold laundry. We need to learn and know how to be organized and clean. I grew up with three brothers, but I also grew up with a lot of discipline at a point where it's just clean up after yourselves. But I also didn't need discipline. Like, if I wanted to sit on that toilet after my three brothers were using it, like, I had to clean it. Or I didn't have to clean it, but so it's just like if you don't have that structure, discipline, or routine in your life, I know it's hard as a teenager if you are going through your teenage years without that, but try to implement it for yourself. Or if you have an older sibling or an older cousin or an aunt, uncle, like, just kind of ask them to push you a little bit. Sometimes you need to ask for help and ask for somebody to push you and implement those things in your life. But also just choose that for yourself. It really doesn't matter how old you are. Like, right from wrong. Even at 3 years old, 2 years old, you can put a bowl of candy in front of a kid's face and be like, don't touch, wait till mommy comes back. They're understanding those words. Or you can look at the bowl and be like, no, no, bad. They're going to understand. I've seen videos where kids actually understood, okay, we can't touch that until mommy comes back. So it's just like if a 3-year-old can understand to not touch that or not do that, in our teenage years, we can choose and take those 3 seconds to be like, you know what, maybe I shouldn't do that. Or really understand who you're surrounding yourself with. Are these people going to encourage me to do the right thing? Are these people going to jump into a routine with me, be disciplined with me, working out and going to the gym with me? Or are these people going to encourage me to do dumb things, to drink, to smoke, whatever it is? And I think that being a teenager, and although I really did have my siblings, we kind of did push each other to do the right thing. When I didn't even have them, I did take those 3 seconds to be like, maybe I shouldn't do this. Although there was no one around to discipline me or give me punishment, I knew that internally that there was going to be discipline and there was going to be punishment, whether I liked it or not. So it's just like I hit an age during my teenage years, which is like I still slipped up, but I knew to start making better choices. I knew that there was going to be consequences, and I knew that there was going to be discipline, whether it's from God himself or from someone that I love who sees what I'm doing. So it was really hard during my teenage years, and I'm sure any of my siblings can vouch for themselves or vouch for me as well. It's not easy going through life with no structure, discipline, or routine. And a lot of teenagers in this society, counting my own sisters, think that it's great to like kind of get away with certain things or be able to do whatever you want. But I'm telling you right now, you hit that age where you want that discipline and routine. You're hungry for that discipline and routine. And you kind of just implement it for yourself. If there's no one giving it to you, you have to want that for yourself. It was a choice for me. I could have ended up so badly down a different path by choice that even the thought of me choosing that path gives me the ick. So it's just like, don't choose that for yourself. Choose better. Choose better. Even if that beautiful path seems very hard and very long, go down that better path. Choose better people. Choose people that are inspirational around you, motivational around you. As a teenager, I did have a lot of crappy friends. I had a lot of friends that were not encouraging, probably preying on my downfall, encouraging me to do the wrong thing. If I was supposed to go home at a certain time, they would convince me to stay out. And it's just like, I had also had friends who would open the Bible, and also had friends during that time that would tell me what I'm doing isn't good. But it was a choice for me to choose those type of friends that were encouraging me to do the wrong thing. So being a teenager, whether you have parents or not, or you have older siblings around you or not, it is a choice to choose to have routine and discipline. Or you can be like me, to go down that path of just learning the hard way. It is a choice. You can go down the hard road. You can learn the hard way. Everybody has a choice in this life. But I slipped down that hard path and my life was just like crumbling by the second. Every time that I got close to the top, I just kept inching back down. And that is life, but it comes to a point where you can cope with it and you can make it better. So again, being a teenager, it is so important to understand that during that time, that everything is a choice from this point forward. I didn't have my parents around at a certain time to discipline me or tell me what to do, but I knew that they were consequences. And sometimes I did choose to go through that hard path and deal with those consequences. And those consequences weren't from my parents. They were hardcore life lessons that I had to learn as a teenager, and look at myself and be like, holy crap, I never want to put myself through that again. I've put myself through it a couple of times before. Some things I put through myself one time and I said I never wanted to go back there again. And as a teenager too, peer pressure and the temptation, it reeks through us as a teenager. So if you're a parent watching this, I'd highly recommend not being abusive, not saying that because I dealt with that too, just saying implement that structure, implement that discipline, no matter how hard it is, no matter how crappy your kid makes you feel for being a good parent. It's called being a good parent. And for teenagers out there that your parents are too busy for you, or you just simply don't have your parents around, make the choice for yourself to choose yourself. Choose discipline, choose routine. If you can build a routine of picking your vape up every morning or picking up your phone every single morning, you can build a routine of waking up and splashing cold water on your face, waking up and eating breakfast first, waking up and taking a shower and getting ready for school before you even touch your phone, touch your vape, whatever it is. If you can build such a bad routine for yourself, I'm telling you right now, doesn't matter that you're a teenager and you're still a kid, you can build a routine in a positive way. If you can go on TikTok 500 times a day, you can pick up your Bible or read a book 500 times a day. 500 pages for 500 TikToks you've watched. You could read a whole book in the amount of time that we scroll through TikTok. And it's not just teenagers. It's us grown people too. It's us unks. Us unks are a problem too. But just as a teenager, it is a time to have so much fun, but it's a time to also lock in with yourself and just to realize that one day you are going to have to lock in with yourself and lock in with your goals and your dreams. And if you don't have anyone pushing you, you will have to be the person to push yourself. Don't wait around and look around for someone to come save you and swoop you off your feet. There will be help and crumbs on the way. But don't expect people to come around and come save you. Lock in at a young age. And the drinking and smoking at such a young age, I mean, there's 12, 13 years old. 13, I know you just hit your teen years, but you guys are spending more time drinking and smoking rather than, actually locking in with your goals in life. So if you don't have those people in your circle, I can be that person in your circle. But it's also not an excuse to not show up for yourself. It's not an excuse to choose to do the wrong thing. It's not an excuse to just wake up and just sit on your phone all day and sit in a messy room or go partying or just focus on a guy or a girl or friends. Like, it is a time to definitely get to know yourself. Teenage years are most important years. And I struggled with having structure and routine. I was out partying, not coming home for curfew, not coming home for nights. It's so embarrassing to say that, but I just didn't want that routine. I didn't want that structure. I just wanted to just run around like a chicken with no head. And at around 17, I would say 18 years old was when I really locked in and was like, wow. I just kept seeing my friends really wild out, and I'm just like, all right, I need to lock in. I need to start saving money. I need to get an apartment. I got my first apartment at 17. And before that, I was crazy. And I think getting my apartment in my teen years was definitely my wake up call. And I was like, oh crap. Like, yeah, I definitely have to have routine. I definitely have to have structure. And I definitely have to have discipline for myself. Can't just be spending my money on all these stupid things, on vapes or, on party supplies. I was like, wow, I have bills to pay at 17, 18 years old. So, and not everyone's the same. And I'm happy for anybody who's 17, 18 years old and you guys do not have to pay rent. So, just lock in with yourselves. Some of you may be struggling in that way of you having to pay rent at 17, 18 years old. Keep going. Keep doing you. Keep locking in with your goals. Even when it feels like the money is not enough, like just keep going. It's not always about money. It's building character. It's building your personality. It's building strength and your faith. So if you're someone who's struggling without routine, discipline, and again, it's not just, this topic is for teenagers specifically, but anybody who's even my age or older, if you guys struggle with discipline, routine, and structure, like I just told the youngins just now, no one's going to come swoop around and pamper you on your hiney and say, all right, choose you. Choose that discipline. What you're not changing, you are choosing. Whether it's not going back to school, whether it's not waking up for the gym, whether it's showing up to places late, start choosing discipline and routine. And especially in your teenage years, it's just so important because what I learned on my own, learning the hard way, I will carry through the rest of my life, and I will forever give that advice to everybody and their mother. Every young person that I interact with, anybody who's struggling with getting back on track with their goals, their routine, their dreams, like that will forever be my piece of advice, and I'll always share it with everybody. And that's why I wanted to create this episode. In my teenage years, me and my siblings, like we didn't have the most structure and routine. So we had to choose that. And some of it took us longer. Some of us, it took us a shorter period of time. So know that your value is so much greater for what anybody is settling for right now. Keep pushing yourself, and whether it's having a whiteboard, I don't know if you can kind of see my whiteboard behind me, a journal, your iPhone notes, just like you build a workout routine, build a routine every single day, even if it's the same thing. Wake up, drink water. Wake up, stretch. Like I write these things down so that I can check them off, so I can feel the routine building up. That's how I built my routine. I write it down on a calendar so I can check it off. I write down a to-do list. I have to physically see that I am accomplishing it and doing it. And that's just how I do it. Maybe someone does it differently. And I can look back on those pages where it was just like me just constantly rewriting the same thing every day until I was just consistently doing it every day, consistently waking up at this time, consistently opening my Bible, consistently going to church, consistently showing up to work on time, whatever it is, just write it down or wake up every day and tell yourself. So if you guys struggle with discipline and routine, whether you're a teenager or you're grown, just know that it does come from within. 500 people can tell you the right thing to do, but it literally starts with you. What you're not changing, you are choosing. So choose you, choose that discipline and routine, no matter how hard or annoying it gets. Keep going, keep doing it. It takes 30 days to build a bad habit. It must take 30 days to build a good routine. You guys got this. This is only chapter 1 of 20 chapters of Kay's life. Teenage years are so hard. I went through it. I know the feeling. So just keep going, keep pushing through. And if you struggled with it during your teenage years and you have accomplished choosing yourself when you had no one else around you, Go you, and keep going, keep doing. I promise you it's all going to pay off and you will end up at the top. And not only you will be patting yourself on your back, I will be patting you on your back as well. Because if you have survived teenage years without somebody implementing structure and routine, and you chose to implement that for yourself and for your future self and your future family or your siblings or your significant other, for just all loved ones around you, be proud of you. And those people are probably 10 times more proud of you than you are of you, and they are probably so inspired by you. So keep going. You have accomplished one of the hardest things in life, is battling yourself in your young years on your own. So if you struggled on your own in your young years and you have come to such a peaceful, motivational, encouraging point of your life, you have accomplished so much more than you think you have. So keep going, keep doing, and know that you are an inspiration to others. And I hope that you guys can relate to this video and relate to this chapter. And I can't wait to choose chapter 2, episode. Can't tell you what episode yet because we might have a couple of guests, but today is episode 11, and I'm so excited to continue through the 20 chapters of Kay's life. So I will talk to you guys soon. Always remember to be kind, always encourage yourself and encourage those around you. And I will see you next time on Kay's Corner Podcast. Thank you for tapping in, like, and subscribe for more content.